Hi everyone, welcome back to the YouTube channel, American Professor. In this video, we're going to be discussing tuples in Python. First, let's discuss the ways in which you can create tuples. The first way is just with direct parentheses. Here we're creating an empty tuple. The parentheses, you can have no space between here or empty space. Python can discern that because it looks for the opening parentheses and closing to denote tuple, which we're calling T here. Let's print out its type. We can see it's class tuple. The other way is to use the built-in tuple function. Let's print out its type. Also class tuple. So let's build a non-empty tuple. Let's put in the three strings red, white, and blue. Let's print out T, or tuple. You can see red, white, and blue is there. And indexing a tuple is just like list, where you use the square bracket notation. So to get the first element would be T of 0. Let's run this cell first before we reassign. So we get red out. With tuples, if you try and reassign, let's see what happens. Uh-oh, you can't reassign a value of a tuple after it's been created. So we already created this tuple and we tried to change the first element from red to black. There's two strings, so you cannot do that in Python. But we can index the other elements. T of 1, we get white. T of 2, we get blue. If we try and index and do position 3, let's see what happens. We get an index error. Tuple index out of range. That's because we don't have 4 elements. We only have 3. So we only need 3 indices, 0, 1, and 2. Lastly, let's cover the two tuple methods, count and index. Let's use the same tuple as a starting example. How many times does red occur in the tuple? 1. How many times does black occur? 0. Same with white, and with green, green's also not a string in there, so. Oh, excuse me, these are with index. So with index, for the string white, it occurs in position 1. For the string green, it's not in there, so there's a value error. The string green is not in the tuple. Let's index the string blue, so you can see this slightly differently. It occurs in the index position 2. So, and we know how to use index now. We know how to use count the number of occurrences of a specific element in the tuple. Let's see a slightly more complex example now with numbers. Let's count the number of zeros in this tuple. Imagine it's very long. That's when these methods become more useful, is when they're very long, not short and finite tuples. So we get 3 zeros and 3 ones, just like we'd expect. So now we know how to use count on tuples. And with index, we get 1 for 0, and the index of 1 being 0, because what it's doing is it's looking for the first occurrence of that. So the first occurrence of 1 was index 0, and the first occurrence of the value 0 was index 1. So those, we know how to use index on tuples as well. Now, you can also use the built-in tuple method if you want to build a non-empty tuple, but you have to pass in an iterable. So you could pass in a string. Let's see what happens. What it does is it takes each character and unpacks it, packs it into this tuple from the string. So C gets index 0 all the way to B, which would get index 4. With a numerical example, what we can construct a tuple from a list as well. Just pass in the list into the tuple function. So we get 1, 0, 1, 0. Another neat thing about tuples, like list, is that you can pass in, or it can hold mixed data types. Not every element in the tuple has to be the same data type. So we have a string here in our mixed tuple, an int, a float, and a Boolean. Let's print that out. So Python didn't complain. So that's another similarity between tuples and lists, besides the indexing notation. But with list, You can obviously overwrite elements in there, but you cannot do that in tuples. So tuples are often used to hold options or things in a program that don't need to be changed, but can be accessed. See, if I try and change that name string to my name, we get a type error. Tuple object does not support item assignment. Another useful function to use on tuples, similarly to list, is the length method. Here we run that on our mixed tuple and we get 4. And that checks out. Our tuple is of length 4 here. So just real quick to wrap up this video, after we cover the 4 main data types in the coming videos, the 4 main container types, lists, tuples, dictionaries, and sets, I will then go to iteration and we'll see the power of for loops for these data types. That's all for this video. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, and please share this with your friends or colleagues or anyone you know that's interested in learning Python programming. I would appreciate if they all watch my videos. Have a blessed day.